Hey everybody, how's it going? I thought I'd do a basic Ravenwing video in case you're interested in getting started in Ravenwing. I know some people are. And Ravenwing is a different breed from the generic Space Marine Biker Army. They do play different, even though they have similar feels to them. They do play a bit differently due to army composition and the HQ and all that. And I thought I'd go over some basic playstyle things and some basic hobby and things in terms of models and all that. So firstly, um, playstyle wise, Ravenwing, while having similarities to Space Marine Biker armies from the generic Space Marine Codex, are a bit smaller. They do have a higher point cost, and their squads just don't get as big. But they are more stable on the field because they are fearless. They will not fall back, and when bikes fall back, they fall back a potentially very long distance. You can go from center of the table to right at the edge of it, or if you're near the center, to off the board, and that's a fall. That's a fallback distance. Let me tell you, that's long, and it does have the potential to happen. Even if it doesn't, you can be right back to where you deployed, which means you have to either turbo boost to get up to where you were, or just cover lost ground, and that can hurt, especially for objective missions. Now, so Ravenwing are fearless, and coupled with the fact they have the basic biker bonuses that other Space Marine bikers have, you know, the higher toughness, the relentless, special rule, and all that, leads to some stability on the field. And they have a heightened maneuverability due to the scout rule. Ravenwings are fearless and have scout, so the bikes can outflank and harass the enemy by going right behind their lines right away from reserve, or you can deploy them on the field, scout move to reposition somewhere, and move up. You know, get them out of. Let's say you deployed first, and then your opponent deployed, and you realize that a squad is feel in line of sight for a lot of pain. Scout move it behind some cover, forward, back, wherever you want to go. Reposition a little bit that way. And since your entire army is going to be Ravenwing, and the majority of the Ravenwing is going to be bikes, that's a lot of repositioning. So that's one other thing they can do. Now, just to go over some FAQ stuff that I'll go over again in the Rediscovering Dark Angel video, I'm sure. Firstly, Ravenwing attack squadrons can have land speeders in them. They can have one land speeder with assault cannon heavy bolter as part of its full squad size, if you will. If it does, they cannot be held in reserve for outflanking. They would have to come in normally if they have the land speeder. So my advice to you would be keep that on the board from the beginning. Use the scout move. Secondly, and this is not so much FAQ as Codex, it specifically states in the Codex that the Ravenwing bikes cannot turbo boost during the scout move. Not really that big of a deal. 12 inches is more than enough for a scout move, but we can't do it now, and I believe the main rulebook doesn't say anything against doing it, so if our Codex didn't say it, we would have been able to, but no big deal. Now, I'm going to talk about the HQ, which is sound mail, real quick, and that'll lead us towards the hobby end. Sound mail can be fielded in two modes. Jet bike, as you see here, with plasma cannon, twin link stone boulder. Of course, he has his mastercraft power sword, and the adamantine mantle, which makes him immune to instant death. Or he can be in a land speeder, which has twin linked assault cannon and twin linked heavy bolter, both at his ballistic skill of 5, which means you're pretty much always hitting. And the front and side armor on his land speeder counts at armor 14. Which is nice. But he cannot assault anything while as a land speeder. He's strictly a vehicle. Although he still counts as having rights of battle, because that's something he has, which is interesting in case you field battle company with your Ravenwing in the future. So why is this towards the hobby end? Well, firstly, of course, you gotta have some type of HQ for your army to play. So either you're gonna buy the jet bike model, which if you do, if that's the route you're going to go with, and keep in mind the jet bike and the land speeder are a bit of a different playstyle, so one may fit your playstyle better than the other. But if you go with the jet bike, I would wait to see if it gets fine casted. I think it will, and I would wait. And the reason being is, this is a heavy pewter model to put on a flight stand. I had to repair it several times, and now it sits pretty sturdy, but still, um, it's heavy. It's a bit of a headache getting it to be stable on its stand and assembling it. I would pin what you can and paint it in stages before assembling everything together. So that's one reason why I think fine cast, the weight issue would be minimalized a lot, and I think that would help in terms of keeping it together better and being a more sturdier, safer build than pewter of this size and weight. So that's why I would recommend that. But regardless of whether or not you go with the jet bike, the only other thing you would need to buy for a Ravenwing army, for the most part, is the Ravenwing Battle Force. The Ravenwing Battle Force can make 6 bikes, an attack bike, and a land speeder in pretty much any configuration. And that's nice because you get it at a discounted price, and if you bought all the pieces separately. So you save some money, which is nice. And in the event you don't take a jet bike Samael, you can make a land speeder Samael with the bits included in a Ravenwing Battle Force, as well as the other Ravenwing box, for the attack, not for the attack bikes, but for the bikes, the regular bikes for the attack squadron. You do get bits to make Samael on a land speeder. So in theory, if you want them on a land speeder, you can just buy Ravenwing Battle Forces for almost all of your army needs. And I say almost all because I would recommend stopping at buying the battle forces once you get all the bikes you need, because getting 6 bikes, you can now either field a squad of 3 or 6 for regular bikes, and you get the attack bikes, you can use it to make a full squadron. But once you get all the bikes you need for your army, then you don't need to buy the battle forces anymore. You have plenty of bits to Dark Angelify and Ravewingify generic land speeders and generic bikes and attack bikes if you need to. And it would be cheaper just to buy the land speeders you need than getting an entire battle force just for the land speeder. Obviously. So if you're going to field 3 squadrons of 3 attack squadrons, once you get all the bikes you need to fulfill those 3 attack squadrons, just get land speeders to bulk out the rest of your force. And keep in mind, that's all a Ravenwing and biker army, and for that matter, a Space Marine biker army is bikes, attack bikes, and land speeders. So that's pretty much it. The Ravenwing color scheme is very nice for beginners, and if you're an advanced painter as well, because you can do great things with black armor color for the Space Marines armor. And it's easy to get into, and they paint that pretty quick as well. Once you get a nice, because all you need to do is get a nice, even, consistent base coat of the black, and the majority of the work is done, and you just gotta highlight it and do the accent colors. So that's it for the basics and getting into Ravenwing. I know it was probably a lot of obvious stuff, but I felt it needed to be said. And the Ravenwing Battle Force is, I think, a very nice battle force. I think it's one of the only battle forces that you can buy consistently and use everything in. So, just something to keep in mind. Anyways, that's it. So until next time, take it easy.